The food will do, everyone. Let's get this foolish.
Sorry.
So, hello and welcome. I'm Steve.
I'm Al.
I'm Brett.
And this is Maker Central, the show for the creative community.
Hey!
You did that whole thing. No! And you guys didn't interrupt, this is amazing. Watch, do it in front of people more often.
Yeah.
I don't actually know what's happening, so I'm going to pass over to Al.
Not the best idea to give the plan to me. So we've got some questions that were given to us by the fantastic guys on Patreon. Kel's got them. Last time we had a big dice where we kind of rolled the dice and chose who was going to answer them. You can be human dice boy.
Random machine.
Yeah, random machine.
So
Fire away, dude.
Start asking your questions. Perfect.
Go for it. Go for it.
Alan Scannell asks, any chance of a hug?
No, not a chance. No. Sorry, dude. You had plenty of hugs last night.
I've reached my quota.
And Guinness.
Yeah.
So the Wonky Workshop wanted to know, why do sausages get sold in packs of 8, but rolls get sold in packs of 6?
It's so you can have two when you're cooking them.
Well, there you go. That's it.
I know the actual answer.
Okay.
If you want to know the actual answer.
Yes, please.
I don't know if it's the same in the States, but in the UK, I used to be a chef. Sausages are sold by weight, and you get the amount of sausages for £1. So you get 8 sausages, because that's roughly how many you get for £1, based on the average size of the sausage. And the same with bread. And so a pound of dough is like either 10 or a dozen hot dog buns. So bakers work in dozens, and it's the trays that you bake it on. So it's based on the size of the trays. You can't go making new sizes of trays just because some guy decided in Germany that sausages taste nice in bread. You can't go changing the rules.
There you go.
Yeah, so you either reinvent the size of everyone's oven as a baker and they all spit the gummy out, or you tell butchers that they can't make 8 sausages anymore.
I think we have a banana scale somewhere. I don't know where it is now.
Banana.
Oh, banana scales? Yes. Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, just put it in.
Yeah.
Jamie asked,
Hi, Jamie.
who's Brett's favorite Steve?
What?
Steve.
Who's your favourite Steve?
Yeah.
Nah.
Just you?
Right? I don't know. I know the Steve joke is very prevalent. How many Steves are in the audience right now?
Hey!
Look at all those Steves.
I don't feel awkward at all now.
And who's Al's favorite Brett?
Who's my favourite Brett? To hit my heart, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gotta be now. That one's for you, Tim.
And who's Steve's favorite Al?
My boss, Alex.
Real Al.
Yeah. Big Al, big scary Al that
Proper
pays
Al.
me.
I hope I'm reading this right. KJ's Jenstrom, sort of. Wanted to know, is there a tool or product that you didn't really see the point of before you tried it, but now you don't want your shop to be without it?
Interesting. Brett?
Draw knife.
Draw knife.
I had no idea what a draw knife was before I started woodworking. Yeah. 2 handles, bit of blade. Now I cannot do without it. And I have 3 or 4. I can make anything out of wood now. If I have a draw knife, I'm a rasp.
Yep.
Got you,
I was
got
gonna
Steve
say,
to
yeah.
a rasp.
That's probably one of my choices.
Yeah. And I like working not necessarily on machines all the time. It's something very visceral about the experience of really shaping wood with the draw knife. And yeah, I'll never go without again.
Okay.
Neat.
Well, like Brett said, the Japanese saw rasp, like having used that now, it's for doing handles and things like that, it's fantastic because it really removes wood quickly. And I never thought I'd say it, but a bandsaw. It's so useful. Who would have thought it? It works fun. Nice. What about you?
I think we all know the answer. Yeah, well, until I used an angle grinder, I had no idea that you could use it for everything.
Yeah, best tool in the world.
Putting in nails, like screwing things in, polishing, buffing, carving wood was the best tool ever.
Yeah.
If there's anyone in this room who doesn't own an angle grinder, Just go and buy one right now. Just to stand over there and sell them. They're the greatest tool ever. Yeah, but I had no idea. And nobody told me.
I'm pretty sure I told you.
Yeah, but you say a lot of things to me. And I don't listen to many of them.
So what's your favorite word?
Word?
What's the favorite word?
Word?
Yeah, that's from G.
I don't think I can say it. There's kids in the audience.
Come again?
Go on.
Steve's being rude.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
What about you?
Cigarillo. It's just a really nice word.
Oh, don't ask me. I'm bad. You go next.
I don't know.
Langoustine. I don't know. It's popped in my head. Go. Your turn.
Woof.
You didn't even pronounce all the letters.
That's it.
Wow.
You'll be surprised about the follow-up question. What's the unfavorite word? The worst word you can think of?
Least favorite word.
Least favorite, thanks.
Cucumber. I hate cucumber. In every form. It's just ugh. What about you?
The word literally.
I thought you were going to say awesome.
Oh, basically.
Yeah.
The awesome's okay. Things are awesome. Things can be awesome.
Yeah.
Sharon's awesome. Theory is awesome. But yeah, there's a lot of overuse of literally. Yeah.
I don't have an unfavorite.
But you love everything, don't you? Nothing's yours.
Yeah, I'm a very happy-go-lucky, I love everything guy. Unfavorite word? How about unfavorite? It's not a word.
Yeah. I was making a program.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't know. It's tough for me to answer.
So, Richard wanted to know what's the biggest waste of money for a tool you ever bought?
Oh, I'm not wrong.
I don't know. I try not to buy tools, I just steal them.
A brand new MacBook. Yeah. I think, honestly, computers are extremely overpriced. And I used to do, anybody that doesn't know, I used to do a lot of production work in my younger days, and I worked on every kind of computer that's existed in the production field, from PCs to Mac. And Mac is a brand that just has an idea wrapped around it, and it's gone to absolute garbage in the last few years. Al will attest to that. But they're very overpriced, and if you look at getting into maybe producing videos for YouTube, or I don't know, upping your social media game, photography, whatever it is, you do not need a Mac at all, and you can get by with building your own, and it will be better and less expensive than trying to go out and buy the brand name.
Yeah.
Same thing with tools, we talk about it all the time. I've gotten the opportunity to work with a lot of power tools and a lot of stuff that I wouldn't otherwise be able to afford. I'm not convinced that you need the biggest brand name, and computers happen to be something that we all work with all the time. And Macs are overpriced pieces of...
Yep, and to kind of expand on that, I think like people get, especially with the blacksmithing stuff, people get like really worked up about, you know, having something that was made 400 years ago, and it's this and that, and it's got the perfect tone and ring and bounce back and everything like that. I was saying to someone earlier on, if you just want to squish some hot metal, it doesn't even need to be high carbon. You can just have a chunk of mild steel and beat on that. You can beat on a rock if you want. It's not about how big and expensive and how much heritage that tool or item has. It's about it's about having something that works, and whatever that may be, as long as it works, it's fit for purpose. It's like you said the other day, good enough is good enough.
I'm a total cheapskate. I was joking the other day that the Jacko's maker knife is the most expensive tool in my shop, which says a lot about the quality of my tools. Yeah. But that might be it.
All right. Hello. Is it me?
This one? Was it this one?
Starting some slight technical issues.
Number 3?
Yeah.
Oh, that's way easier. Yeah, I'm with Brett. I think sort of technology we get lured into, especially with electronics, to spending money on stuff. I got by with a 12-year-old SLR for all my filming and all my shooting, and it works just great. And I got a gift card from work and thought I'd buy a GoPro, and I've never used it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing against GoPro. I'm sure they're great. I'm sure if you are a surfer, they're fantastic. But I took it out of the box once. It doesn't work with the lighting because of the frequency of the lighting, so you just can't use the frame rates. There's literally one setting I can use on it, and it's like, why did I buy this? When I've got this old camera that's reliable, it's like bulletproof, it's angle grinder proof, and it's, as I say, 12 years old, and it's probably cost half of what the GoPro cost. So yeah, I think electronics is something we get suckered into buying because they're glamorous and they're fancy and they have all these features. But like Steve says, you can make something on a rock, so you don't need it. If you've got money to spend, I suggest there's smarter ways to do it and much more productive ways you can spend your money. This is not sponsored by GoPro.
So if you could change personalities with one person for a day, who would that be?
Like any person, or do I have to deal with these two?
Come again?
Is it any person or just
Any
these
person.
two?
I wanted to ask both. So, who of these two?
Oh God. I want to get inside that brain.
Yeah.
100%. No explanation.
Just to
If you haven't
experience
met
it.
Al, give it a shot. He's pretty fantastic. And I want to know what's going on up there. Because I feel like my brain is scattered constantly. And there are moments, I feel like I've had this discussion with people in the past. It's like I would almost like to meet somebody that is more calm, or become somebody that is just more calm and doesn't have as much craziness going on in their head. But at the same time, I've become very comfortable in how insane everything is up here. But you're on a different level. So,
yeah, I was kind of like, have you ever seen the film Over the Hedge? There's a squirrel that drinks some Red Bull and then everything moves in slow motion. I'd imagine that guy's like running around inside your head.
So on that note, can I do a John Malkovich and go inside my own head? And find out what it is like from the outside?
only if
Because that would be
only
freaky.
if it's Matt Alkovich and you do a video of it.
Let's shave your head. It's on.
All right. And trade with anybody else that we can think of?
Yep.
Da Vinci?
It's kind of obvious.
For all
Ooh, I know.
Go.
Berkey. Just to be able to see the world through Berkey's eyes, they're like...
A lot of people say things like, oh, that dude's totally crazy, or Al's crazy. I genuinely think Andy Berkey is actually crazy.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, I was doing the Great British Make Off with very small children this afternoon, and during the judging of the builds that we were making, Berkey decided to tape me up from behind and have to take my hands together. Just like in the middle of me trying to teach a class of kids.
This is
So
very normal.
I think he's genuinely crazy.
Yeah.
You got someone.
I said Berkey.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I'd like to get in the head of like a crazy comedian, just to think how they think like that. Like the guys who do Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, or like the Coen brothers. You know, just how a sense of humor works that's different to my sense of humor or our sense of humor. Because I love comedy, and when there's jokes that you just don't think of, or you would never like. The things that make me laugh are things that I would never come up with myself. So just to have that stupid, like crazy sense of humor that's just madness, and really surreal as well. You know, I love the kind of Dali kind of idea of where humor comes from, and just this surreal thing, like Python. Like to get inside the head of any of the Pythons would just be unbelievable, because for that era as well, just the creativity and just the surreal nature of it all. I think we all love them, but like, just to see where those ideas come from. Yeah, I like that.
What about you?
What about you,
I
Kel?
already said it, and you absolutely butchered
That's
it.
because it was so obvious.
Kel, what about you?
I think hockey would be quite interesting, to be honest.
Ooh, yeah.
Just to, I mean, I hope I get the abilities to think like that when I'm in there.
What is going on?
Yeah, exactly. I can't work this thing. I think the last one is, again, from Richard. If you could have one well-trained animal to assist you, what would it be?
Murphy.
Does he actually do anything? Though?
No.
Is he useful in any capacity other than being glorious?
Yeah. No. For those of you who don't know, Murphy's my dog. He is an idiot. He's wonderful. He's basically Al. So much energy.
You said idiot, and then about 10 seconds, and then ow.
Yeah.
That's really unfair.
Look at him.
You're a horrible friend.
Yes, I am.
Go on.
I was incredibly jealous of Jimmy finding that stoat, because that is one of the animals that I love. I think they're really clever. They're beautiful creatures, but yeah, they're really smart. They don't stink like ferrets, and they won't bite you like ferrets. But they are vicious, and they will rip rabbits in half. But yeah, if I could have a stoat in the shop, I think that would be amazing. And like,
All those rabbits you have.
I've got a severe rabbit problem in the factory. You know the floor's covered in ham, right? Rabbits love ham. Yeah, like just loads of like cool pipes and stuff over the wall that the stoat could run around and live in and just like solve problems. You know, they're really good at problem solving, so you can set little puzzles of how it gets the food and stuff. Yeah. Stoats for the win. Nice.
Well, I won't say octopus because you'll tell me how much smarter a stoat is than octopus. Horrible. Shop wolf? Or no, sorry. I want a crow. I've actually been trying to feed the crows outside of the shop. I really have. I don't really care if it can't lift anything, but I super want a crow. Anna was nice enough to actually sew me one. Thank you. So I have a stuffed shop crow, but I would love to put a little letter on there to Jimmy and send it to his house.
Not the ravens.
Yeah. Shop raven, shop crow. Nice.
That was the last question from the list.
Perfect.
Any questions from the guys in the crowd? Anyone want to know anything about Brett?
No.
Come on.
Nobody wants to. Come on, someone's got a question.
Hi, yes. Wait.
Tom.
Right.
Two Toms don't make a right.
What's the best sandwich filling?
What's the best sandwich? Or sandwich filling?
Sausages.
You can't go wrong with a good crisp sandwich.
Carbs and carbs.
Cheese and onion, mayonnaise, classic.
Like gravy.
Just a gravy sandwich.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
You guys are silly this
Brett?
This is the food podcast for any of you that have never listened to Fools and Tools. Talk about food a lot.
Yeah.
I get a Philly cheesesteak. Every new restaurant that I go to, I try and get a Philly.
Actually, can I change my mind?
No.
Bearing in mind this is from from a Scottish member of the audience. I had a friend from Scotland once, and I used to be a chef. I was working in a restaurant, and every day he'd come in and ask for something different, deep fried. So, you know, it used to be a classic like pizza. One day he asked me to fry him bangers and mash and gravy. So I had to work out different ways to deep fry things. It was good. And then one day he came in and asked for a battered pie roll. And I didn't understand the 3 words. And he said, a battered pie roll. Roll being the sandwich part. And I was like, so do you mean you get the pie and you deep fry it and then you put that in a roll? So it's like a deep fried pie sandwich. And he was like, and he looked at me like I was a monster. And I was like, no, it's a pie roll. So you put a pie, like a meat and potato pie, inside the sandwich, batter the sandwich and then deep fry the whole thing.
Sounds glorious.
And then like just a pint of vinegar. So the best sandwich filling is a pie, which in itself is a sandwich.
Yeah.
Are hot dog sandwiches or not?
Hot dogs are sandwiches.
Just had to clear that up.
What would be your favourite job?
What would be our favourite box?
Is that favourite job? Eve, you living the dream?
Yeah, I've just quit my job and now I'm a blacksmith. So I'm living the dream. Yeah, now I do
Brett,
Yeah, you go here.
I've got a real fantasy for like colonising another planet. I think that'd be amazing.
On your own?
Have you seen The Martian? Yeah, and something, just a real fantasy of mine, always has been since I was a kid, and just, yeah, it's not even a sort of drama and the glamour of, like, being an astronaut or anything like that. I don't want the fame, it's just like, just being a farmer on Mars would be amazing. Yeah. It'd be really cool. Yeah, and just really bleak and grim. Yeah, I'm from the north, so, it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah. So being a planetary colonist. Yeah, just without the sort of pillaging of other cultures, because there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
A doorman.
Oh man, that would have been a good one just to like drop the mic. I heard space pirate. I like that idea. We'll try and go within the realm of current reality. I have always enjoyed nature shows and a lot of underwater exploration stuff, so there's something very intriguing about going into the deep, deep darks where no one knows what's going on and actually figuring out what's going on down there. And bringing back data, of course, but so much is unexplored here outside of what's going on outside. You can have fun, go to your farm Mars. I will stay here and explore the seas. Yeah. Oh no.
Ames.
I was going to ask you to tell us about your old job, Steve, but you've already covered that now. Tell us, if you can, about a project that has scared you or you've struggled with.
Everyone? Do you mind? Yeah, so we talk about this quite a bit on the podcast, but the three of us tend to walk into projects having never done them before. You, maybe less so, because you actually have been at this for a bit, but quite often you walk into something that's extremely intimidating, but you're inspired to get cracking on the thing, right? So you take this opportunity to challenge yourself to create something new or something that you've never made before, and it's extremely intimidating. And you may know a little bit, we talked about it recently, the translation of the tools or the translation of the material, right? You've done woodwork, how does that translate into working with steel or maybe fabric work? Personally, a lot of the stuff that I've created up till the current status has been stuff I've never done before. But I am extremely intrigued by a challenge. I've never made a beekeeper's tool. And I was like, right, I think I know how I'm going to do this. I know it exists, this and this. And I was terrified the entire time because I was actually making it for somebody and I wanted to deliver it. But I looked back kind of through the catalog of things and I'm like, never made that before. I even made the joke on that same video. Oh, have you ever done this before? No. When have we ever done anything before? Yeah. But I think if you can, at least for me, I started to shift being scared or intimidated into actually just, it is a challenge. And it's self-imposed. No one requires that you made that thing. If you have a client gig, maybe you have a little bit of added pressure, but I love accepting a challenge and it becomes an achievement for yourself, right? You can deliver to a client, great, hopefully they're happy, but internally, it's all about you.
For me, I love like the freedom of not having a client and just being able to just go and play. But even if it's something that I've done 100 times, to then have to do it for someone else, whether that's a client or whether I'm doing like tapers or something for Alex or like production work, that's when it becomes scary because it's not just if I mess up something that I'm just playing in my own workshop in my own time, then it doesn't matter. It's nobody's going to see it. But it's when there's that added pressure of somebody else is going to be, for want of a better expression, judging what I've done. That's when it becomes scary. Even if it's something that I've done 100 times, that first time I'm doing it for someone else, it becomes massively scary because it's, I already know all the mistakes that I've made and I can see them, and it's having someone else coming along and the fear of them coming along and seeing something that I haven't seen or pointing out the things that I have seen and saying that this is terrible. So yeah, and I think for me that's like I think I've told the story before. The first time I ever worked for Alex, no, the first time I met Alex, I spoke to him about doing some work with him, and he said, "Oh yeah, come down and we'll do a quick test." So I went down to the workshop, and he gave me half a dozen bits of steel, set me going on the fire, and just said, "Right, just make a load of 3-inch tapers." Easy, 3-inch tapers are easy. And so I'm sat there quite happily going on the anvil, and he just walked off and went to the other end of the workshop and started working on something else. And I'm thinking, okay, this guy's just walked off and left me, I'll just carry on. And then he'd come over, and he'd just be like, "You're holding your hammer on." Okay, do that. And then, "This is too short, don't do it like that, do it this way." Okay. And just every few minutes, he'd just come back over and just tell me about something else that's doing wrong. And so by the end of it, I was absolutely petrified. But the last taper, I was thinking, this needs to be the best taper I've ever made, or I'm going to die on the inside. And as it turned out, it was just him basically checking, A, that I could take instruction, and B, that I could actually make a simple taper. It didn't need to be the best taper in the world, it just wanted to check to make sure I could actually do it. And that kind of goes back to what you were saying, it's those self-imposed criteria, because you build it up in your head and you panic about it, when actually most people don't care. Like, even if you're doing stuff for client work, you're always going to, it's that old adage, you're always going to be your own worst critic, and having that added pressure of not just looking at it and going, "Am I happy?" looking at it and going, "Is someone else going to be happy with this?" And that's kind of what
I think I'm in sort of both camps. Like, I think, Brett, what you were saying about everything we're doing is new and exciting. I think it's the fear is the excitement for me. Like, that's where the adrenaline rushes. That's why I enjoy making things, because I've never done it before, or I'm learning. If I was just going through the motions and just doing the same thing, I wouldn't understand why that would be a hobby, or unless it was therapeutic, I guess. But for me, the reason that I make anything is because it's terrifying. That for me is the reason I do it. But on the flip side, like a specific project that terrified, well, I've got two. One of them is behind the stage, and you'll see shortly. And the reason that terrified me is because it had to work, and it was potentially very, very dangerous. And I don't just mean like normal, dangerous, I mean actually dangerous. And then another recent project was something I was doing with electronics, and it was for a charity cause. So it was like really, really important that I didn't mess it up, because we weren't getting paid, so it wasn't like, "Oh, if I mess this up, I'm not going to get paid." It was like, if I mess this up, this actually matters, it's important. And it was like coding the LED strip lights, which I've never done before. But they're great, the product is fantastic, they're really cheap, and you can get them to do whatever you want. But I've never done it before. And normally for me that would be fun and exciting, but the fact that it had to work and I didn't have a choice, it was terrifying, because I was like, trying to write code and like Python scripts and stuff, and I was like, I'm just way out of my depth here. But I got it to work, and I think it was that fear that got me through it. If I was kind of nonchalant and didn't care and like, "No, it's fine, it works, it works," there wouldn't have been that motivation. But the fact that it did terrify me was kind of the fuel behind it, I think. So a little bit of both.
Good. All right. What we got?
Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Out of all the makers that you know, who has your favourite workshop and why?
Who has my favourite workshop?
And why?
When I saw Frank Howarth build his workshop, that blew my mind. But mainly architecturally, like, it wasn't the tools that were in there. I'm probably one of the few people in this arena that doesn't have like sort of a tool fetish and doesn't really get attached to inanimate objects. But when I saw the way he created it and the way he thought about the light coming into the window and the sloping roof and stuff, it was just a beautiful, and the sunken floor, and the way he told the story, I was instantly drawn to that workshop because I just thought it was beautiful. I love Steve's workshop just because it's the original forge in the village, and it's just so incredibly English that you go and work in this sort of 500-year-old building, something like that. In a quaint sort of Dorset village, and it just epitomises what you're doing. And so I love that for the romance and the charm. But yeah, I think I'm so impressed with everyone in their different situations of people making things work. Like and I don't know if Steve's around, Stephen in the 8x6. You know, an 8 foot by 6 foot workshop, and it's fully functional. He's got everything he needs in there, all the tools, and he makes great stuff. So it just goes to show that you don't need this impressive, huge barn or warehouse. You know, it's like space. If I had more space, I'd just fill it with more rubbish. I'd just make more mess. I'm like a goldfish. So the space thing isn't the issue for me, but yeah, there's something beautiful about Frank's, and there's something charming about yours. Yes, not you, your shop.
Thanks. See, for me, I think I was going to say about Stephen's 8x6 shop as well, but like, there's so many amazing workshops out there. And again, one of the things I love about this community is being able to see what people are doing with different spaces. Whether it's, you know, someone that's got a huge warehouse that's full of printing presses and stuff, or whether it's someone that's got a tiny little shed or a shack that they've made themselves, and there's so many cool little tricks that you can kind of incorporate into your own space. But I think one of my favourite things about seeing other people's workshops is seeing how they create a space for inspiration. And I think the best example of that is probably Laura's workshop. Because like, whether it was her old one, her current one, or a new one, the lights and the random things that have got going on, it's a beautiful place to be. It looks awesome, and it just makes you want to make stuff.
Unless Brett says it, can I totally change my mind?
No, I'm saying it. Maker Monster.
Yes! Where is it?
Where is he? He's somewhere around here. Hey!
Hey, the Maker Monster!
Yeah, that's
Round of applause for the Maker Monster, ladies and gentlemen.
And I will just to explain that. I mean, you know, we all super like it. Honestly, you think of workshops and we see a lot of genres developing within YouTube and the social media space where like woodworker shops look like this, metalworking this, blacksmiths, talk about somebody that can take a workshop with all the same tools that we all have or hope to have, you know, with bandsaws and table saws and whatnot, and just make it fun.
Yeah.
From corner to corner, and just be able to put a felt arm on a bandsaw fence that just goes like this. How can you not smile every time you're making something? You go, hey, can you hold this for me? So if you haven't watched the stuff, it's absolutely glorious. It's like Pee-wee's warehouse, or Pee-wee's playhouse warehouse. Yeah, that kind of works. Whatever. It's fantastic. Good job, Jake.
Yeah. Oh, that.
I think, unfortunately, we have to move along a bit, but yeah, it's good for the crowd. So we're starting the handout, the raffle thing next, I guess?
Right.
So we're going to do a raffle, guys. I don't know if anyone's bought tickets. There's a whole bunch of prizes to hand out, and then after that we're going to have some fun.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. So how do we do this now?